My 19 female mom was not active in my life when I was young. She left it all to my dad. He was such a good dad too, and he did his best to make up for mom never being around. They were married, by the way. She was married to her job mostly, or always doing her own thing. Dad would try to bring us together, but she always had excuses. A year before he died, I noticed he grew more frustrated with her. She'd let us both down many times and they started arguing. The day he died, he got into a crash. He stormed out the house after Mom accused him of trying to pawn me off on her and how she wasn't some cheap babysitter. After he died, she was in a weird place for a few months. I hardly saw her and spent the most of my time at my uncle's, Dad's best friend's house. She met someone new and dedicated a lot of time to him. I was 11 when Dad died. I turned 12 when she met her husband. It was obvious how different she was with her second husband. It was also obvious when she had kids with him that she was a more involved mom. She actually went with them to see Santa, took them places and made memories. All stuff she never did with us or even me. I resent it, I'll be honest. Her husband noticed it before I moved out of their house and called me out on not being happy for my siblings and him. I told him he got everything my dad had begged for, that I would not be happy. She let my dad die unhappy and she made me unhappy my whole childhood. He called me childish. I told him I didn't give a damn about his opinion or his happiness. I moved out before I graduated and before I even turned 18. I live with my uncle now. It was just better. Ever since, Mom has been like, why don't you visit? Why do you never call? Why do you never answer texts? She texted me twice before that point in 3 months. She asked to meet me last week, so I did since she was paying. She told me she was doing better by her family now and didn't like that I carried such a clear grudge. She said she's doing everything with them to make sure they don't miss her as I did, and I should be happy for her and them. That she'd like to think my dad would be happy for her. I told her there was no way he would have been happy. She ignored the kid he had with him and did everything he wanted with me for her other kids. I told her at the end of his life, Dad probably didn't even love her anymore, like she clearly never loved us. I told her I'd never be happy that she was doing better with her do-over family. She could take her pawning off and cheap babysitter butt and stay away from me. She called me spiteful and said I should love my siblings enough to be glad for them at least. She also sent me a text over the weekend saying I'm just like she was and congratulations for being what I hate. Am I the idiot? Also, I use siblings in quotes because I don't consider them that. They're her kids, but she's not really my mom, so they're not really my siblings. Not the idiot. She literally said in your face, yeah, I neglected you, ignored you, and outright refused to watch you, but I'm doing it for them now, so why aren't you happy? Your egg donor doesn't deserve the time of day. I'm so sorry for the loss of your father. The nerve of that woman trying to compare OP to her. She neglected her child from the time she was born. The child that she brought into the world and was responsible for morally and legally. OP is reacting to that neglect, which is not the same thing. We don't owe toxic people a place in our lives, and setting healthy boundaries does not make us toxic too. Right? Like, what do you want, a cookie? Part of me wonders if she's looking for that cheap babysitter in somebody else. Her other offspring are what, oldest 5 or 6 when you were 18? That's what I thought when I read she wanted to reconnect with you. Did she even say I'm sorry in any of this nonsense about how she's improving? She may be doing better with her new family, but what's she doing to make amends with you? She's simply trying to get you to give her a free pass. Try not to let this experience poison other areas of your life. Seek help if needed and move on in a positive way. Kiddo, you will be just fine. My sister-in-law lives in a fairly large 6-bedroom farmhouse on 10 acres. We're building a home across the street, and in the meantime we have a camper parked on sister-in-law's property. The only time we go into her house is to use the bathroom or shower. We have electricity in the camper but no running water. The rest of the time we're across the street building and our kids, teen male, tween female, pre-tween male, are with us helping. We pay sister-in-law $180 a week to park our camper there, which is campground prices. Late afternoon yesterday, my sister-in-law asked us to all come inside to talk, and she pulled up her chore list with my kids' names added to it. Things like laundry, dishes, cleaning the living room, sweeping, mopping, cleaning table and countertops, garbage, returnables, even helping cook meals. We don't eat with them, etc. She said, "Does this work for you? I won't let anyone clean the bathroom because I'm the only one who does it properly." I immediately said no. My kids don't even go in her house unless they're showering or using the toilet, so if anything I'd make them clean the bathroom, not the rest of the house they don't use. I'm not going to be making them do chores to that extent for simply using the bathroom after they've been helping us all day with building our home. My sister-in-law, who works all the time, says, "The kids are in here much more than that because all my snacks are gone and I always come home to a trashed house, and I didn't before you guys started staying here." She's clearly not putting two and two together because her daughter, tween, has had consistent friends for the past 2 weeks since school let out, and her husband, 46, does nothing to parent, which I brought to her attention. My kids don't eat her food at all either. I've made a point to preach to my kids about minimizing our footprint here for this specific reason. Her trying to blame my kids for her trashed house. My husband is saying that maybe I should allow her just to add the kids to 1 or 2 chores a week to keep his sister at bay, but I've refused. We pay to be here, and we do not go indoors at all unless it's for the bathroom, as I've stated. My kids are not going to be scrubbing her house top to bottom for using a restroom, and I've since told my husband we need to create an outhouse system on our property so we don't have to go in there at all. He says I'm making things more difficult when in reality, I'm protecting my kids from being used. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She's either trying to get free labor or willfully ignorant of her daughter's behavior. Having your kids take turns cleaning the bathroom would be reasonable because you use that. Nothing else is reasonable because you don't use that. Try to get a porta potty or similar system in your yard as soon as possible. Do you have water in your yard running? Invest some bucks in installing your own bathroom temporarily. It will be worth every cent. It will give you freedom and peace. Your kids shouldn't be expected to be maids for a house they didn't help trash. Yep, your sister-in-law is blaming your kids because it's easier to do that than see her child and her husband is the problem. I agree with setting up something at your new property so your kids don't have to enter her house. And I don't agree with just caving to keep the peace. We all do it, but we shouldn't. Stick to your boundaries for sure. Don't let her take advantage. I, female 32, married my husband 35 6 years ago. I met him through a competitive soccer league. I played at university and he played semi-professional before he moved to North America. I tried to learn to cook meals from his country and have several cookbooks. He never complains and has praised my cooking often. We've cooked meals together for dinner parties and have no complaints. I'm currently pregnant with our first child, and his mom and sister have come over to be here for the birth and help for a while. So the problem is, whenever I'm cooking, all 3 of them have started coming in and changing stuff around. It doesn't matter if I'm making something from their country or not. They've started saying, "Oh, that heat's too high or low for this meal," and they'll change it, or adding ingredients or things like that. When my mother-in-law and sister-in-law cook, they get all offended if I offer any suggestions. My husband says to leave them alone because they know what they're doing, but he won't give me the same courtesy. So I've started walking away from the kitchen as soon as they change anything. I will simply walk out, go on the deck with a sweet tea, and enjoy the sunshine until it's time to eat. Now they're complaining that I'm making them do all the cooking and just sitting there doing nothing. I said that that was their choice to help out with that meal, and I appreciated their help. My husband says I'm being petty and vindictive, but I told him he said to let them help, so I am. I'm sitting on the deck right now watching them fight because when I walked out they forgot about the roast and now it's dry as heck. I'm thinking I might go for a drive and grab a burger while I'm out. Am I the idiot? I'm always in awe about these supposed family members that not only stress out or depress the pregnant ladies in these stories. So good job, OP, for not letting them and finding your peace. Burger sounds about right. I suppose it's not possible for you to stay at your family's place for a while. That might also be good. Stress and gang-ups are bad for the baby. I can't give you not the idiot with a clear conscience as you are being somewhat petty, but your husband, mother-in-law and sister-in-law are all the idiots. No, OP isn't being petty. She's setting boundaries and holding to them because she's not being heard. It's a bit ludicrous to suggest she allow her husband's family to run her out of her home while she's pregnant. Don't you think that would be just as stressful? She left her childhood home and moved into her own for a reason. It's hers and her husband's, and it's not petty to stand her ground in her own home. My worry would be when the baby arrives, how much will they help then? They don't sound like people that actually want to support what OP is doing and will just do what they want with her newborn. Or they'll be telling her what she's doing is wrong, or do it this way, or the famous, "When I had kids, I" statements. I'm curious about who invited who and how that all played out. Feel free to send them away if they're more stressed than help. My sister-in-law, her husband and her kid, Teen, are staying with my husband and me for the next week because there's a family funeral, and all the hotels were booked out for the fest and concert. We have a big farmhouse, so it's not a big deal, but sister-in-law is very opinionated. My sister-in-law and my husband have different fathers. Her dad died from liver failure 10 years ago and his death date just passed by not too long ago. He was a massive alcoholic, so my sister-in-law turned into a witch whenever she saw anyone drinking, especially people in her family. Well, my husband, who isn't a big drinker, went out with friends last night as a kind of last hurrah because we'll be welcoming our first daughter into this world in about a month, and he just wanted to celebrate his becoming a dad. I encouraged him to go. I arranged for his Uber back home and he came in around 11 p.m. last night. He was intoxicated. He walked in the door singing "Let's Stay Together" by Al Green, dancing, spinning me around the living room floor in some very sloppy waltz and laughing the whole time as he tripped all over himself. Now, my dad is an alcoholic too, so I get it, but honestly, I was having a blast with my intoxicated husband. Sister-in-law comes into the room and just starts laying into my husband about him drinking, screaming about how he would turn out just like his dad, etc., etc. At this point, my husband's mood is dead. He's crying. I lost it. I told her, how can he turn out like a piece of crap when that piece of crap isn't his father? Get out of my house right now and never return. She immediately went quiet and said she couldn't take her daughter out at this time of night and that no hotels had vacancies and my husband knew better than to drink around her, and I told her that's not my problem, leave. The whole family is angry at my husband and me right now for both him drinking in front of sister-in-law and me kicking them out at midnight. Am I the idiot? Edit, I never said her daughter or her husband had to leave. I told her she had to. She woke them up and dragged them with her after she caused problems. Not the idiot. She interfered in your family life, insulted your husband and didn't even apologize, just whinnied about no vacancy. I bet her voice felt a little hoarse after that. She needs to see a therapist. Her projecting anger onto other people when it's not warranted is a reflection of her unhealed trauma. It's also obvious he doesn't have a drinking problem and that he just had fun responsibly. Sister-in-law was an idiot for having the unmitigated gall to try and dictate someone's behaviour in their own house while they were doing her a favour. The nerve, the chutzpah, the barefaced cheek of her. I'd kick her out of my life so fast the resulting tornado would sweep her and all her BS flying monkeys away with her. The only thing I would have done differently was to tell her she needs to leave by the end of the next day. That way she has time to figure out where she's going to go. I'm not sure if this happens before or after the funeral and if she still needs a place to stay, plus she could check Airbnbs too. It's not just suck it up or put people in the street at midnight. I agree, everyone's the idiot here. People always have their knives out to kill anyone and everyone. However, kicking someone out in the middle of the night was too much. If you know the difficulty finding accommodation and they were in your house for a difficult occasion, funeral, then you should have let her and her family spend the night. Saying you didn't ask her husband and kid to leave makes you more of an idiot, as everyone knows how illogical that will be. I'm getting mixed opinions from this. My two kids are young teen and tween. I'm not going to lie, we live a pretty frugal life and all the extra money I make goes into their college accounts or fun weekends. My ex has them once a month and is the fun parent. Can't get his child payments in, but he's willing to do a surprise trip to Kennywood. It's frustrating, all right. I try not to say anything bad about him, but he has been pushing the narrative that without him and the money he gives me, we wouldn't have the home. It's false, and now the kids are saying, well, Dad pays for this. My last straw was when the kids told me Dad pays for the home. So I pulled out my budget spreadsheet, and it includes all the stuff that he pays for. So child support, and he hasn't paid for the past 2 months. The kids were upset about being lied to, and the oldest got into an argument with him since she called to confirm. We got into an argument and he called me a jerk. My friends are split on this and I'm wondering if I went too far. Not the idiot. He doesn't look bad in their eyes because you exposed him. He looks bad because he lied to begin with and because he created the situation that he lied about. To add to that, the kids deserve to know what they're dealing with in case they ever need support from him in the future. My friend's ex is like this. He told the kids he was financing their mom's lifestyle, that she really wasn't actually working 2 jobs and was out partying. She showed the kids her pay stubs, checking account, and the stuff she has from the court showing their dad hasn't paid child support in over 2 years. This same situation happened because now they don't believe anything their dad has to say. Ex threatens to take her to court for parental alienation, but he can't afford it due to his flashy new house and car. LOL. So sorry, it's hard having sucky parents. I hate to see kids pulled into divorce and support drama, but they're old enough to know the truth. The truth can hurt sometimes, but the truth is in the facts. As for the back child support you're owed, court order for garnishment would be in order. And your friends that are split can kiss your butt. Maybe now he will step up and pay what he needs to pay for his kids.